Adam Schefter reported that the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the market for a wide receiver. And it's not a want, it's a need. Looking back at their game against the Cleveland Browns, the target share was pretty eye-opening. When looking at the 29 targets to Steelers skill players, none of those targets went to DK Metcalf. 11 of those targets went to Steelers tight ends. 8 of those targets went to Steelers running backs, and only one target went to a wide receiver not named DK Metcalf. It was a 12-yard reception by Roman Wilson. And you may say, well, hey, Calvin Austin's coming back. It can reset the receiving core. The reality is they still need a wide receiver too. Through 6 weeks of the NFL season, the Steelers have the fewest targets attempted with only 133. When adjusted for the bye week game, the game that they missed, they go from dead last to second to last. When looking at targets thrown to wide receivers, they have 52 targets, which ranks lowest in the National Football League, only below the Green Bay Packers, who also had a bye week with 76 targets. Of those 52 targets, 32 of those targets have gone to DK Metcalf. That's 60% of the targets for receivers going in one player in DK Metcalf. So it's obviously quite telling that the Steelers need a wide receiver. Those numbers explain and show you how desperate the Steelers need a wide receiver. Now here's where the fun comes in. Who can the Steelers get? When looking at the trade block, there's several names floating around, including Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Jacoby Meyers, and Romeo Doubs. Of those four players, two of those players fit the team to a T. Romeo Doubs and Chris Olave. Why? Well, it's because of what Calvin Austin and DK Metcalf do. Calvin Austin is a deep ball guy. He's a go ball player. He takes the top off the defense. He's the fastest player on the team, and he excels at those 40-yard catches, those 50-yard catches, those big plays for touchdowns. And that's what Rashid Shaheed is. He's a go down the field and catch a missile for 80 yards and a touchdown. And Jacoby Myers, on the other hand, plays similarly to DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is a contested catch guy. He likes to go for those 30-yard catches and really just moss a corner. That's what Jacoby Myers excels at. And when DK isn't doing that, he goes for the shorter routes, so the routes where he has a lot of yards after catch ability, similar to what Jacoby Myers does. So maybe Jacoby Myers is a better option over Calvin Austin, but his fit with the team does not work. That's where Chris Olave and Romeo Doubs come in. Chris Olave used to be a deep ball guy, someone that, again, just burned down the field, went 60 yards and touchdown in one play. But he's changed his play style since the emergence of Rashid Shaheed. Instead of being that deep ball threat, which he still can be, he's excelled at the intermediate routes, that 15, 18-yard route ability right in the middle of the field. He can still get you the deep ball, but he's excelling at the intermediate, just like Romeo Doubs. Doubs, although he isn't as explosive as Chris Olave, excels at those intermediate routes, and they both mesh extremely well alongside DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin. But when talking about these receiving options, obviously it's safe to say, well, like, hey, go after Chris Olave. He's a better player, but he's going to take more capital, more trade assets. And the question is, are the Steelers willing to do that, to go after a guy who is under contract for the next 2 seasons? So he's going to command more draft capital or higher end players. And obviously, he's a more talented wide receiver who's shown wide receiver one capabilities. So who's the more likely player to end up as a Steeler, Romeo Doubs or Chris Olave? And in order to find out the answer, we have to go all the way back to 2007 when Mike Tomlin took over as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since 2007, the Steelers have made 6 trades for skill position players, both in season and in the offseason. Those 6 players being Felix Jones, Nick Van Nett, Allen Robinson, Mike Williams, DK Metcalf, and Ryan Switzer. Of those 6 trades, only 2 of them were made mid-season. Mike Williams and Nick Van Nett. They are both acquired for 5th-round selections. Of those 6 trades, 3 of them were for wide receivers, a 2nd-rounder for DK Metcalf, a 5th-rounder for Mike Williams, and a conditional pick for Ryan Switzer. The point being, outside the DK Metcalf trade, the Steelers don't usually trade for skill position players. And when they do, they don't give up a lot of capital. They don't give up a 1st-round selection. They don't give up a 2nd-round selection. And they don't give up a 3rd-round selection. Based on the reports, Chris Olave in all likelihood will command a 1st-round selection, especially due to that extra year on his contract for the 2026 season. But even if it's not a 1st-round selection, if it's a 2nd-round selection, the likelihood of the Steelers making a trade for a wide receiver for a 2nd-round pick after already trading a 2nd-round selection for DK Metcalf are slim to none. So the reality of the situation is that Romeo Doubs is the most likely player to be playing on the Pittsburgh Steelers after the trade deadline, who's not currently rostered by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason being is his skill set, the intermediate routes, his mesh ability with DK Metcalf alongside Calvin Austin, and also the assets that it will take to get Romeo Doubs. He's a player that is also very familiar with Aaron Rodgers, something that Chris Olave can't say he is. Romeo Doubs' first year in the NFL was in 2022, which was also the last season that Aaron Rodgers played with the Green Bay Packers. In 2022, Romeo Doubs participated in 13 games and started 7 of those games. In those 13 games, he was targeted 67 times, had 45 catches for just over 400 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns. Another thing to note is that Romeo Doubs, he has the ability and has shown throughout his time on Green Bay to line up on the left side of the ball and the right side of the ball, showing that he won't hinder where DK Metcalf is or how he will play, just like he won't hinder where Calvin Austin is and how he will play. He can play either side and he can capitalize on those intermediate routes alongside DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin. Let me know what you guys think. Is Romeo Doubs the answer? Is he the most likely player going to Pittsburgh? Should they make a splash move for Chris Olave? Should they not make a splash move for Chris Olave? Should they go after someone I didn't mention? Or is the receiving core as it is it okay? Do you like how it is currently and they should ride it out? In all likelihood, though, the Steelers will trade for a wide receiver because they see this season as a win now year, a year where Aaron Rodgers, in all likelihood, will be playing his final season in the NFL. And based on the history, the Steelers won't make a big splash move for Chris Olave. Although he may help the team more this season and obviously next season, of course, Romeo Doubs seems like the most likely candidate due to the capital it will take to acquire him. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think.